They want to see Ric Flair. I actually got to be in the audience. So say a wrestler would say, or a wrestler, a fan would say, I got to see Ric Flair in person. Now, I've been fortunate enough to watch Ric Flair wrestle, obviously not in his prime. Obviously, it was in the latter part of his career twice. Probably more times, but the only ones I can think of off the top of my head would be WrestleMania 20 and Royal Rumble 2008. I got to see him wrestle live twice. I've seen Hogan wrestle live. I've seen The Undertaker a million times, Kane, Triple H, Michaels. I've seen a lot of great talents live. But for right now, in this point in his life, and after the medical conditions he has had, I would like to see him just chill. But anyway, this is one of the things I was stating at the top, that I like to read things live. I'll bite on the clickbait, and then I'll react to it live as I'm reading it. All right, this says, Ric Flair suffered a scary health issue before SummerSlam last year. At this point, Ric Flair is doing better, and even though he hasn't given up alcohol entirely, shock, and that's no disrespect, but that's just no shock, he's still taking care of himself in a big way. He's also getting name dropped by Eminem, which has to be cool as well. And that's another thing. The Ric Flair drip song, he's kind of gotten to the point now where it's almost like he's still the man. He's still the 16-time world champion, 2-time Hall of Famer. He's still the man, Ric Flair. But there are certain things that he's doing that it's almost like he's making a parody of himself, which I get it. You got to make money. And that's kind of the thing where that's all you knew is wrestling. And it's hard sometimes to get outside of that realm of this is all you've known your entire life and you've never had a plan B. That's why whenever I've talked to wrestlers in the past, and a lot of people would suggest it, but you're crazy, you're this, you're that. No, you got to think of a plan B. You got to think of a life outside of wrestling and even I heard an interview with, I believe it was on Busted Open with Rebby Hardy and Dave LaGreca. They were talking about Matt's retirement from in-ring competition, and now it's now he has to realize that there's a life outside of wrestling. He has to think about his life outside of wrestling because, as she has said, that's all he's known. And for a lot of these men, and now you're going to be coming up to the point where a lot of these women, this is going to be all that they know. What are they going to do now? I always advise to have a plan B, to have a backup, to have something. So, in this, let's see, he said he spoke to the Steve Austin show, and I love whenever they talk. It's happened once or twice, but it's really a pleasure when those two speak to each other. And revealed that he's back to doing 500 free squats, and he claims that he has officially been cleared to get, quote, knocked down in the ring, end quote, once again as well. This is from Flair himself. I had difficulty doing anything when I still had that bag on my side that was attached to my intestines because it sat right at my waistline and it was hard. But as soon as I got that off, I was back doing 500 free squats. To me, I just need a goal. Does that make sense? Oh, wait, yeah. To me, I just need a goal. Does that make sense? But I finally got the weight back on, and then I found myself putting more weight back on than I wanted, so I have to be careful with that. But I've been working out, and I can do anything. I guess I can do anything but bench press. I have to be careful after surgery, the second surgery, for hernia issues. But I literally took it easy. I didn't do anything, and now I'm full speed ahead. The guys have cleared me to do anything. I've actually been cleared to get knocked down in the ring. I didn't know if they were going to use me in some capacity, and Austin knows the clearances you have to have with the health policy, which is so adamant. Let's see. If it'll be very interesting to see if WWE would book Flair to actually take a bump at this stage in his career, with all the possible risks involved. After all, WWE can't really take that kind of public outburst at this point in case something goes wrong. And excuse me, to that author's credit, I agree with that, because you look at Jerry Lawler. Lawler is still working indies around the country. Most recently, I mean, I'm sure he's done anything. He's done things more recently than the NEW show that I know that he did in White Plains recently, and he does matches. To what extent he wrestles, I don't know. I haven't watched anything post heart attack Jerry Lawler, and it was a shame. It was a shame when he had it, because he was getting a push. He had his WrestleMania match against Michael Cole, which is a shame. Which is a shame. He couldn't have had it against somebody like, let's say, The Miz. But he still wrestles. But because of WWE's policies, they won't ever let him, in any capacity, take a bump in a WWE ring. The moment he had that heart attack, that was the very whatever he did physically in the ring before that. Well, actually, it was that Ziggler match, the tag match where Ziggler kept dropping elbows on his chest, and that was the last time he had any and would ever have any physical interaction in a WWE ring. Ric Flair's last physical interaction in a WWE ring was probably around the time when he was accompanying Charlotte around for her matches, when he was managing her at one point. And much like I've talked about with The Undertaker, I have no problem him never ever wrestling again. I don't care what matches he's done post WrestleMania against Roman Reigns. I still consider that to be his last match. Anything that he does after this is just, I'm not going to remember it. With the exception of, well, actually, no, that was before Roman. But I don't like to acknowledge anything that he's done post WrestleMania. Again, that was his retirement. That's it. That's the way I like to remember him. The match that he went out in is not a good one either by any stretch. I can't watch the match because it's just not good. You're at his age, and Roman's young. He's much younger, much quicker. He works at a different pace than The Undertaker is capable of. But back to Ric Flair, I wouldn't want Sasha Banks to do like an over-the-top rope plancha for Charlotte and miss and hit Ric Flair. God forbid something does happen, has another thing to cause him to have a hernia surgery again, causes something else for him to do anything else, really, Unless it's just one of those things where it's like he comes in for the ring for a promo and some young buck comes in and slaps him in the face. I mean, even that I would hesitate to have him have that kind of interaction in the ring. I get why. And again, this is all he's ever known. So I understand where he's going to talk about it in a positive light and everything of that sort. I just really worry about... Now, this author had mentioned it'd be interesting to see if WWE would allow him to do something like that again. The bigger question you need to raise is, in what capacity or these other appearances that he makes is going to have him do, or is going to want to book him to have him do. We don't know any of this. We don't know any of that. I don't want to know any of that. I honestly hope that whatever booker promoter is smart enough to not have him do anything. Maybe a figure four leg lock for shits and giggles. Maybe. And it gives that nostalgia factor again of like, oh, you see Ric Flair able to pull off the figure four leg lock. Again, that's great. And I completely get why you would want to see Flair do that again. Other than maybe that, I don't want to see him do anything. I would like him to just be left at that. You know, I don't even acknowledge his time in TNA. Other than that Jay Lethal promo, which was fantastic. So yeah, that's the Ric Flair bit that I have for you here today. Now, the one other thing I really wanted to get to, but before I get to that, did any of you see the tweets that the Revival and the Young Bucks were putting out there about one day the Revival will wrestle the Young Bucks? Remember this tweet? It exchanged back and forth from both sides. I still am convinced that just they're going to go to do this all elite wrestling thing, which I would be shocked if they don't. But if they go ahead and sign with the WWE, that would be interesting, especially to have the Bucks versus the Revival. However, the way Raw has been booked, I wouldn't want them on Raw. I don't even want them touching WWE's soil. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Go to All Elite Wrestling, do your booking there, and make the best damn company that you can. And book match the way you want to. And then, you know what? Despite Cody and the Bucks and the Elite saying F the Revival all the time, sign them. Sign them the minute that their contracts are up and have them in the Bucks wrestle. I think that would be a tremendous match. That would be off the freaking charts. So, I would really like to see that. So, that was my little aside here for a second. Now, Wrestle Kingdom 13. It's going to be broadcast on the New Japan streaming service and Fight TV. I will more than likely be up at whatever hour to watch this show live. This card looks ridiculous. Now, you got to figure, let me pull this up here because I knew I would forget it. You figure you have, and again, I don't care how WWE is booked now, when Rumble comes around, that's one of the top two events of the year, no matter what. Because you have the Rumble match, it's always very exciting. I have sentimental reasons why I love the Rumble so much. It's probably, other than WrestleMania, it's my favorite event that is done every year by any wrestling company at any point at any time, period. And again, I have my sentimental reasons. So, January 2019, I saw this from a Twitter account that I follow, and great wrestling fan, at BCAFC Mark. January 2019 is going to be an insane month of wrestling between Wrestle Kingdom, TakeOver Phoenix, which is going to be awesome, TakeOver UK, that's going to be nuts, and the Royal Rumble. That's 4 mega events in the whole month of January. Other than WrestleMania week, and just from those 4 shows, that's going to be the busiest. It's going to be the best week in wrestling. It's going to be the best month in wrestling. So, I'm very much looking forward to all this. So, Wrestle Kingdom. New match was announced. Let's see. Kota Ibushi just won the Never Openweight title. It was revealed that he will defend his title against Will Ospreay. Damn. So, for this Wrestle Kingdom, now, a lot of these, Now, I'm just going based on the card that I found here.